Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and thank you so much for attending today's webinar, Ramadan Renew, and how to maintain healthy habits for Ramadan. We're so excited to have you all join us today. Our guest speakers, Sister Zainab and Sister Fatima, are going to help us not only have a spiritual uplifting month of fasting, but also improve our well-being and overall health. So also as a quick reminder, we'll be taking questions during the presentation and the Q&A. So please direct your questions in the chat. You can chat me specifically, Amira Herji. So please post them there so then we can answer them during the Q&A. By the way, my name is Amira. I will be hosting the spotlight. I will be hosting the webinar for today, and I now want to introduce our speakers. So before we do that, I'd like to tell you a little bit about our webinar sponsor, which is the Shia Muslim Council of Southern California. So SMC is an independent umbrella organization comprising of various Shia Muslim centers, mosques, and organizations in the SoCal area. The primary objective of SMC is to provide a platform to facilitate the exchange of ideas and experiences to enhance and support religious, social, humanitarian, and educational development initiatives, as well as to cooperate with like-minded organizations to advance unity amongst Muslims and understanding across faith communities. So now I would like to introduce our wonderful speakers today, starting with Sister Zainab Hosseini. Zainab Hosseini is a registered dietitian by profession and serves as the program manager at Olive Community Services. She holds multiple hats and works as an inpatient RD at St. Jude Medical Center in Fullerton and as a consultant dietitian with Alzheimer's Family Center, which is an adult daycare center for dementia patients in Huntington Beach, California. Sister Zainab has a passion for working with seniors in her community and loves to help empower them to discover their innate superpowers. Sister Zainab joined Olive Community Services in December 2017, and she plans, organizes, and implements fun and engaging activities for her Olivers that promote wellness, social interaction, and learning. This work has led her to complete her master's in nonprofit leadership and management from Arizona State University in 2022. Sister Zainab considers herself a lifelong learner and forever nomad who enjoys spending her free time traveling to learn about people, cultures, and places. And she does this with her husband and her 2 children. Sister Zainab is going to be speaking to us about how to eat healthy during Ramadan. All right. And today she will be discussing exercising in Ramadan as well as that's for Sister Fatima. So now our next speaker is Sister Fatima Karmali. She is a nutrition health coach and personal trainer with a bachelor's in health sciences. She's the founder of FSK's Healthy Way and promotes easy and adaptable methods to a healthier lifestyle. Sister Fatima's focus is to help people achieve health goals such as fat loss, building strength and stability through workout classes and one-on-one training. She's a mother of 2 who helps women balance exercise into their daily routine, despite their busy lifestyles. Sister Fatima has helped numerous women all over the U.S. achieve a healthier lifestyle and feel more confident and happy with their body. So today, Sister Fatima will be discussing exercising in Ramadan, as well as conducting a live demonstration of healthy recipes. So now I will hand it off to Sister Zainab to begin her presentation.
Thank you, Amira. Let me make sure. Thank you for having me, Amira, and the Shia Muslim Council. It is my pleasure to be here. And I would like to present on nutrition in Ramadan. Now, I just used the tagline from the movie Fast and Furious. Don't be furious when it comes to fasting. Jumping straight to it, this is, what usually ends up happening is that, right before sahur time, we're trying to eat as much as food as possible before the time is running out. And then, post iftar, this is our state. And this is just to bring a smile. I mean, Ramadan brings a lot of family traditions and different, family recipes to our, Ramadan is that time that it takes you back to family and good memories. So there are some habits that can be changed so that we have healthier Ramadan with our family. So going back to scripture, eat and drink, but do not waste by extravagance. Certainly, Allah does not like wasting food or extravagance in any matter. So I think that is a great way for us to have an outlook when it comes to nutrition in Ramadan. The objectives of today's session are going to be, learning how to eat and drink nutritionally during Ramadan for sustenance, and also eating moderately and learning strategies that incorporate healthy eating, exercise, and also certain challenges that we do face while having those long fasting hours. And many of us are working, going to school, and, interacting with the outside world. So we want to make sure that it's a pleasurable experience. So our focus is going to be on the primary nutrients that are important during the fasting time, water being number one. All body processes, many of us know, require water. Sweating is a normal fact or a normal body physiological factor that does happen. Now, this year, Ramadan is coming during the springtime. In the past, when it was during the summer, it was definitely more challenging. We're sweating, we're losing a lot of water through that. But this time, I'm expecting the weather to be amazing. So definitely, it's not a major concern. But definitely sweating does happen and we do lose water. Staying hydrated is especially important during this time, because guess what? Dehydration is a very serious issue. And, some of the symptoms of dehydration involve weakness, fatigue, dizziness, low blood pressure, heat stroke, and death. Also in extreme conditions. So it's very important that we, listen to our body and make sure we hydrate ourselves. Now, drinking water, there is a science to it as well. Drinking large amounts of water right at suhoor time or right after iftar time may not be the most smartest way to go around it. It's better if you can spread it out during the non-fasting hours, and it's just a healthier way. So kind of building it through. So you can have a large water bottle and, have your water, but drink it throughout, starting from iftar time all the way till sahur time in small pockets. Another smart thing to do is incorporate hydrating foods. So some fruits and vegetables naturally have a higher water content, and incorporating them during your iftar, your dinner, or your suhoor is a very smart way. So, watermelon, cucumbers, cantaloupe, strawberries, zucchini, tomatoes, these are great way to incorporate hydrating foods. What we want to avoid is caffeinated beverages, because caffeine acts as a natural diuretic, so it makes you, lose water a little bit. So I know some of us tend to have, some coffee, what do you call, issues with not having coffee on our daily routine. But it's best to have your one coffee, obviously, whenever you would like, if that's a habit, but avoiding caffeinated beverages overall is a good idea. Soups are also a great way to incorporate water or liquids. And the fruits and vegetables, as I mentioned, are a great option. So watermelon, I mean, right now it signifies much more than just a good hydrating food. It also reminds us of our brothers and sisters of Palestine. That's a staple that I think every household should have during iftar. And you can also blend it up, and make it a nice watermelon refreshing drink with some lemon and mint, and it tastes great. One way to know if you're super hydrated is looking at your urine, especially early, your first urine in the morning. The darker it is, that means you're very dehydrated. And it varies from person to person, but a general rule of thumb, 8 cups of water a day, maybe too much for one person or too little for someone else. So always seek medical advice. There's sometimes certain people who are on a water or fluid restriction for whatever reason, or they're taking diuretic medications. So good idea is something around that 6 to 8 cups, having an achievable goal for yourself, and sticking to it. Like I said, have a large pitcher or whatnot, set aside for the day, for the non-fasting hours, and you can work your way through it. Carbohydrates. Now, this is a major nutrient, or a macronutrient as it's called, that is important. And it's important for our energy. It's in our energy source. So, many times they get a bad rep for, it raises your blood sugar, but there's healthier versions of carbohydrates or whole grains that are very important and to nourish your body and your brain. So grains like breads, cereals, rice, and pasta. Now, these are your typical grains, but I love going back to the variety like bulgur and millets and jowar and all the good stuff out there, barley, which is such a wholesome, nutritious food, and also, finds its roots in the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So starchy vegetables are another one. Now, this refers to things like potatoes, sweet potatoes, and corn and whatnot. So those are also a good source. We have beans, which are great, and dairy, fruits. Sweets and sweetened beverages also contribute to carbohydrates, and those are the ones that we're trying to avoid or limit. The carbohydrates and sweets, they taste sweeter, they digest quickly, and then can cause spikes in blood sugar levels and provide a short burst of energy. So the thing with think about glucose or table sugar, like you usually give it to athletes for that instant energy, and then within time you lose that energy. We're trying to conserve energy during Ramadan, so it's important that we eat foods that are of a low glycemic index, especially for those who are fasting with diabetes. And of course, I always recommend please seek medical advice before, any kind of nutrition program or even fasting, whatnot. So make sure it's safe and healthy for you. Number one, health-wise, our religion, again, provides provisions for those who are going through or experiencing different health conditions or chronic situations. So important to eat foods that will slowly raise your blood sugar, because the body takes time to break down that carbohydrate into smaller molecules to glucose to be utilized by the body. So aside from fruit and dairy, simple carbohydrates should be limited or avoided completely. So I personally, I've noticed this, when we are at an iftar party, that could be something that you can take on as in moderation. But, when you're every day, 5 days a week, when you're working, try to avoid these type of foods, especially, we end up having cereal. When we run out of time, we'll have cereal for suhoor, and trying to get a whole grain cereal of some nature, or oats or oatmeal, overnight oats. Those are great options that are more wholesome. And barley makes a great soups. You can look this up. I personally like using an Instant Pot, so you can look up recipes on YouTube. I've seen many with barley and different vegetables as well. Fiber is an indigestible portion of plants that is also a carbohydrate. And having high fiber foods is also a great way to incorporate, not only good gastric motility, but also, just great, healthier gut. You've probably heard about having a healthier gut is so essential these days, and building your GI microbiome. So whole grains, breads, cereals, and pastas, brown rice. Nowadays, pastas are made of garbanzo beans and other whole grain or protein sources. So there's some good, healthier options out there. Vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds. These are all great ways to incorporate carbohydrates. And of course, our good old dates. That's how we start our iftar, and it's a great source and it has a low glycemic index. So 1 to 3. People ask me how many, so let's stick to the sunnah and just keep it like a odd number, 1 to 3 dates, and depending again on the size. But that's a good way around it. Fiber has definitely many benefits. It helps reduce cholesterol, blood sugar, slows your digestion, as I mentioned, and it's like a sponge in the intestines. And the more fiber, the more fluids you will need. So if you eat a lot of fiber, you might get constipated if you don't drink enough water, because it's forming the stool, and then that stool needs to move around in the body, and it's important that we hydrate ourselves. And in fasting, we are limited about the amount of time we can hydrate, so keep that in mind. The protein is again another major macronutrient that we want to incorporate. It's also a source of energy, and it also helps you feel fuller longer, especially for those, again, with diabetes. Always make sure that you're pairing up your carb food with a protein. And this is, again, across the board, a great idea. So choosing proteins with healthier fats or with no fat at all in your meals and snacks is a great idea. So incorporate fish, nuts, and seeds. And when I say seeds, I'm thinking even seeds like chia seeds and flax seeds. Those are healthier fats that you can incorporate. And nuts like almonds, walnuts, and pistachios or cashews, whatever you would like. Beans and tofu, these are also some vegetarian sources of protein if you are vegetarian primarily. And again, low-fat, fat-free dairy. I leave it up to you based on everyone digests dairy differently. If you want to go for non-dairy sources, that's completely fine. Yogurt, I find, as a great source of protein, especially Greek yogurt. It has double the amount of protein than regular yogurt. Try to go for the plain option, the plain yogurt or plain Greek yogurt option, and then add some fruit to it, or some, dates, or some kind of a natural sweetener versus, the flavored versions of these foods out there. Another great food that I highly recommend is kefir. Which is a probiotic, and it also comes in plain versions, and they're widely available in all grocery stores these days. They make a great way to get not only your protein, but also probiotic. So something to look into. I love incorporating these in smoothies and shakes, especially if you're having some fresh fruit leftovers. I like to blend it all up with some yogurt and a little bit of dairy of choice, like almond milk or whatever you would like to choose. And, it makes for a great food, and you can add dates to it for sweetness. Proteins, other sources in terms of meat, protein sources, lean cuts are always the way to go. So avoid meats with a marble appearance, because that's clearly the saturated fat of the protein. Trimming anything visible while cooking, and obviously chicken breast or white meat. This is the one place where the white part of the food is okay, because with hindsight to carbohydrates, where we want to go whole grain or brown versus white bread, white rice. So again, eggs are also a great source. I think during Ramadan, it's like a complete protein, making an omelet and incorporating some vegetables. So being smart about how you plan it out, I think I find it always interesting when right before Ramadan starts, the grocery stores are full to the brim. And yet, it's all about simplicity and these few wholesome foods that you can incorporate and just get away with it. It doesn't have to be extravagant. It can be simple, but delicious and nutritious at the same time. So prepare by boiling or scrambling. So boil eggs over, the night before, have them ready. A lot of people these days, they're, using the cupcake baking sheets, and you can just have some egg bakes, kind of like, you put in an egg, a few veggies, maybe a little cheese and some spices like salt, pepper, and you can bake it, and those last in the fridge for a few days. So planning ahead is a good idea. Now, it says canola oil here, but the canola oil that we are experiencing nowadays is very, very processed. So I would rather use avocado oil instead, and that would be a better option for especially heating or frying. And obviously, frying, you want light pan fry, nothing deep frying. In terms of fat, like whole grains, fiber, and protein, fats are also important. Now, they do get a bad rep because you think of unhealthy fats out there, especially thanks to our fast food industry. But they're also a very concentrated source of calories, and there's good fats out there. And what we are trying to do is focusing on those. Avoiding fried foods high in fat can also upset your stomach. So limit, I know it could be something that we do out of habit. There's now healthy ways of cooking. You can bake your samosas, you can air fry your samosas, or any fried food. So there's options that you can choose from to make it more of a healthier option. And I always remind people that you're setting the tone of the next generation's habits. Your habits may be developed from what you were used to, but now we have options that are healthier, so why not take advantage of them? We have tools like these kitchen gadgets that can really help reduce our saturated fat intake. So these are the less healthy ones. Like I said, red meats are usually very high in terms of fat content, even animal skin. So if you're doing chicken with, try to remove the skin, and even better is going for the chicken breast or leaner cuts of the chicken. Fish is great source as well. And like I said, whole milk and yogurt, there can be high in saturated fat. So if you have cardiac issues, definitely, be mindful of that. Unsaturated fat, these are the ones that we want to focus on. And I know, again, it says canola oil, but I would switch to avocado oil. Fish, nuts, seeds, avocados, even the fresh ones, you can add those to even your smoothies. You can add them to your omelet on top as a topping and whatnot. So usually a serving of avocados, depending on the size, is half an avocado. I do get that question a lot. So just FYI, olives are great. Olive oil is also great to incorporate like a salad dressing or like light pan fry kind of stuff. Electrolytes. And now these are essential again because we do lose some of these while sweating and during long fasting hours. They're important for our body processes, and also sodium and potassium being those that we lose during sweat. Care must be taken to avoid depletion of electrolytes and replenish them at iftar. Potassium is heavily present in fruits and vegetables, dates being one, bananas, potatoes, and tomatoes are the other major sources of potassium. Sodium is widespread in food. In the American diet, thanks to all the processes that in our food industry, processed foods, or we do end up getting enough sodium one way or the other. Just avoid, having a table spot or what do you call it, table salt or salt shaker on your table, and because sodium also attracts water. It's like a water magnet, so it's going to make you feel thirsty. Like right after having a bag full of salty pretzels, you're going to feel very thirsty. So there is a fine balance. Increased blood pressure, sodium sensitive individuals, again, be mindful if you have blood pressure as an issue, and also bloating and thirst. So another thing I've noticed a lot is we tend to go for things like Gatorade or, as a way to replenish our electrolytes. I would rather do something like coconut water and try to get one that has very limited added sugar in it. It's naturally sweet, and that's fine. It is a good source of potassium. So I rather do that. Or if you are doing Gatorade, try to dilute it, as much as possible. It has an unnecessary number, like high number of added sugar to it. Like you can see the label for yourself, and added sugars is the sweet or sweetened beverages that we're trying to avoid. So contrary to popular belief, I would go for the healthier, or natural drinks that you can provide yourself with fluids, like plain water. It's completely fine, and add some fruits on the side for gaining the other nutrients. Vegetables and fruit, they're great for both suhoor, iftar. They provide you fiber, vitamins, minerals, water, everything. Like, subhanAllah, nature's food, every color provides its own nutritional benefit. So try to get in variety, get creative with your fruit salads or fruit charts with limited other like sugar or salt added to it, and instead do a more beautiful, colorful fruit platter at every iftar, and bring in a variety. That's always great. Eating in moderation, this is important in both in our faith and also for our nutrition. It's all about balance and moderation. So even it is from the teachings of the Quran and the Prophet. Remember, the meaning of Ramadan is why we fast. It is to also looking at the communities that are not having the joy of eating a complete meal sometimes. So empathizing and also learning from that experience of what it is like. We have that beautiful part about our scripture. Our body, have 1/3 water, 1/3 air, and 1/3 food. That's what our stomach should be handling. So this is our opportunity to kind of moderate ourselves when it comes to food and nutrition, and extravagance when it comes to overeating sometimes. Ramadan should not revolve around lavish cooking and overeating. So let's limit ourselves when it comes to that. Avoid coming to a meal extremely hungry. It increases your risk of overeating. So again, sometimes we will have a lavish iftar, pray, and then have a lavish dinner. So have a simple iftar, water, dates, go pray, and then have your dinner. So that's a good way around it. Sunnah way again. Avoid waiting until stuffed before leaving a meal. So again, it's something from our Islamic teachings, and it also increases the risk of obesity and other diseases. So while you want to listen to your body, but you don't have to completely eat so much that you can't even move, like the first picture that I had shown to you, and you're not even able to function properly. Eating and chewing slowly, using your smaller utensils and plates, it helps avoid overeating. When breaking your fast, a small amount of food is good. Like I said, just the water and dates, and then move on. Avoid pushing beyond this point to compensate for the fasting hours. Our bodies are already do the compensation for us by slowing down our metabolism when we fast to conserve energy. So that's why by the end of Ramadan, the fasting seems like a routine for you, because your body has adjusted to that routine. Um, at suhoor, thinking quality over quantity is important. So, like I said, try to get foods that are whole grains and pair it with a protein, a healthier fat, and you're good to go. It doesn't mean a lot. Humans don't have the ability to store food in their bodies for long periods of time. Food will be digested within several hours, regardless of how much you eat. Stuffing oneself may actually backfire. So the stomach is stretched, will feel hungry more easily, and will require more food to satisfy. So let's not let's signal to our GI system that it doesn't take too much food to fill me up. Choose nourishing foods for suhoor, iftar, and other Ramadan meals, lean proteins, healthy fats, fiber, the whole grains, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. These are some examples for suhoor. A vegetable omelet is a great way to incorporate veggies and protein, pair it with whole grain bread, some fruit and water, and that's it. You're good to go. And then high fiber cereals with bananas. Like I said, I really like overnight oats or oatmeal, and you can pair it up with bananas and berries, and you can add whatever dairy you like. Fool or dal, these are also great sources of fiber, and they can also be paired with a whole grain pita bread, fruit and water as well. For iftar, some options are obviously some kind of water or hydration for yourself to hydrate. Dates are great, and I love having soups. Soups are like those wholesome foods that you can incorporate vegetables, lean meats, healthy whole grains like barley, like I mentioned. And then the juice I would again avoid. This is again for people who, if their sugar is low, it provides instant energy, but at the same time, I would avoid it. But if you do juice, then it's 100% juice. Take a break to both pray Maghrib and then eat your dinner. I like the healthy plate method. This kind of controls that we're making sure we're eating the three main most important nutrients: the vegetables, protein, and your carbohydrates. And it allows us to make sure that, again, in Ramadan, having this mindfulness, it's a good way to develop a habit, right? 30 days. So take this as an opportunity for yourself to eat healthier. Recently at Olive, Amira mentioned in the introduction, I work with seniors, and we did a wellness challenge for 1 month. And what we did was we controlled habits. So I gave all of them this plate, and I bought this on Amazon. And it's just a visual. I'm a very visual person myself, so I encouraged them to use this, and we had a WhatsApp chat where they shared their pictures. And this picture on the right is one of my Olivers shared. So, and now 30 days down, they are happier. They also monitored their sleep, their water intake, and all the good stuff. And it was such a success. We had 60 participants, all age groups. And it's just a simple way of making sure we eat. And with time, I saw an improvement. They went from maybe an oily cooked vegetable to a steamed or raw vegetable or salad or soup or whatnot. So with time, be graceful and kind to your body and prioritize self-care, and plan ahead. Sometimes that really makes a difference. I've noticed, on Mondays I might go meatless and be vegetarian and do all vegetarian, and then the other days, again, simple. Maybe one day can be a day with some egg related recipes or whatnot. So go simple but be mindful. That's my key most important thing I would like you to say. When you're doing snacks, now snacks we tend to have, especially if you are going for Tarawih, you're coming back, you feel hungry, or if you're awake long nights, especially the last 10 days, you might feel hungry. So having these apple slices, peanut butter, baby carrots with hummus, yogurts, like I said, the Greek yogurt with some granola and fruit, or a handful of nuts. These are great ways rather than junk foods that you might end up incorporating. Sweets, I know we have that tendency to crave sweets, and you can definitely indulge. I'm not completely against it. I love food myself, but everything in moderation. If I can have one gulab jamun over two, let's go for that one gulab jamun. Why not? Providing the point is they're not providing you much nutritional value, so that's why they are requested to be in moderation and whatnot. So try to limit it during the 5 days a week. If on the weekend you're going to an iftar, maybe you can have a piece or two. Remember to eat in moderation, like I mentioned. Take one piece or even half a piece, depending on the size, and experiment with less sugar, syrup, and butter. Cut into mini portions. So portion control can really help. Exercising, try to do the non-fasting hours if possible. And again, light exercise during the fasting hours if you want to incorporate. I know Fatima is going to be talking more on this later. You may feel weakness and fatigue, and a lot of that stems from nutrition. So getting that adequate nutrition, quality nutrition can really reduce those symptoms. Getting your rest, making sure you're sleeping a good 6 to 7 hours or more. And then the wudu, taking it as a form of self-care and really, taking it as a break, and deep breathing through your nose. These are all great ways to manage those symptoms during Ramadan. Bad breath can be an issue. Sometimes certain foods do cause bad breath, so avoiding garlic and onions when possible. Snacking on crunchy fruits and vegetables like carrots and apples can help with the breath situation. Consuming natural deodorizers like peppermint, cloves, mint, sage, parsley. So right before, right after iftar or suhoor, making sure you have these that can help. And again, hydrating yourself is important. When you are dehydrated, it can cause bad breath. Miswak or floss, or a tongue brush or scraper. These are other ways you can manage bad breath. Supplements. It is not a bad idea to take a multivitamin during Ramadan, just like a little insurance for yourself. So this is something you can consider and incorporate. I highly recommend this. Even a vitamin D supplement is a good idea too, because we're indoors most of the time. We're not as active or going outside, not getting enough sunlight. So these are the two that I recommend. And this is the main parts of our again, as far as nutrition is concerned, is preparing, planning, and praying. I hope at this time you're printing a calendar and just having a rough idea of what you plan to have in terms of nutrition and preparing, and making sure that you are really making this an advantage to yourself and to your family. This is family meals. There's so much research out there of how a family meal can really be a game changer in the nutrition habits of your children. So make sure you have your iftars together, take advantage of it, make it healthy, get them involved, get your children involved in the preparing of foods, and get creative. Sometimes children will learn a recipe on, TikTok, believe it or not, and they will show interest, and maybe review it with them. There might be some things you might have to tweak or replace, but why not take advantage of this time? And really, many of you might be having spring breaks during this Ramadan, so another great way to really enjoy this time. So I would like to acknowledge Muslim in Dietetics and Nutrition. It's a member interest group of the American Nutrition and Diet Association that I'm a part of. And that's it for my presentation. I think I'm on time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sister Zainab. That was extremely beneficial. I learned a lot myself, so I hope everyone was able to learn something new today. We do have a couple questions in the chat, so we can move on to the Q&A portion of the webinar for Sister Zainab. So one of the questions that I've seen a lot popping up is, can you recommend any alternatives to traditional and cultural Ramadan foods like samosas, pakoras, different ones that may not be as healthy? So if there are any alternatives to that that we can try during Ramadan.
I think one of the key is there. See, there's two parts to it. Number one, you can have the traditional foods in a healthier form. Like I said, air frying your samosas and pakoras, it can be an option. So that way, the part of those samosas and pakoras that's an issue, to be very honest, is the oil, right? The deep frying. So if you can limit the oil use and bake them or air fry them. In terms of healthier alternatives, like I mentioned, incorporating fruits and vegetables and getting creative with those. So, if you could do mini avocado toast or smoothies of some nature, the sky is the limit. Or sticking to just a healthier nutrition plate. Have your dates and water or iftar, and then just going to your healthy food plate and get creative, get your kids involved, so it doesn't seem redundant and boring. Sometimes, children can get tired of the same food. So the more creative you are, the sky's the limit. There's nothing that defines a food to be a Ramadan food, right? It's our everyday food. Yes, you can incorporate things like dates and barley. This is a good opportunity to incorporate sunnah foods. How about that? That way you are, opening your fast with a barley soup or of that nature. So there is so many options out there that it's a matter of you deciding and planning with your family what they are willing to have and try.
Wonderful. Thank you. And if anyone has any more questions, please direct them to me in the chat. We'd love to cover them. Our next question I'm seeing is that a lot of people usually suffer from headaches during the first days of Ramadan, just getting used to fasting. So what are your thoughts on trying to avoid these types of headaches?
Similar to, as I mentioned, the fatigue and the weak feeling. So it's important that we eat good food. It could be also sometimes with caffeine. A lot of times people are used to their morning coffee and not having it. Your body gets a little not used to it. So I have a few friends, and this has worked for them. Like a week before Ramadan, they start, not having their morning coffee and kind of slowly getting into it. They're eating their other foods, their other meals, but just not having their morning coffee. There are also, I've heard of caffeine supplements that some people take. It works for some. So I think it many times stems for either not eating good quality food, or if you have that caffeine tendency to have in the morning. So slowly letting your body get used to it is a way to go.
Very nice. Thank you. Another question that I'm seeing in the chat is, are there any foods and drinks that can help prevent bloating during Ramadan? So like during the fasting hours, if you eat during suhoor and then you feel bloated throughout the day, is there anything that can help combat that?
That's a good point. I think one of the best things to do is, again, staying hydrated and avoid the foods that cause bloating. So there are certain cruciferous vegetables like lettuce and onions that do cause a lot of bloating, or very deep fried foods. So if you prevent eating from those and just staying hydrated, eating more whole grain foods, you will see a huge difference. And that kefir that I mentioned, that probiotic drink, that is a great way to build your gut health and prevent bloating. It's a whole science in itself. There's like several presentations that could be done about how beneficial it is to really build on that gut health. And incorporating fruits of different nature also, like the berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and you can add those to your smoothies. And these are great ways, again, for a more healthier drink versus a ruhabza, sorry to say.
Perfect. Yeah, I've tried kefir before, and it's really interesting in how it works. But definitely in some
It has the lassi texture. Don't you think it has that smooth lassi type of texture? So I recently, with the wellness challenge, we did a potluck where everybody had to have a healthy food. It was a healthy food potluck. So if you're planning any potlucks in Ramadan, go for that challenge. Like, give it a healthy twist. And somebody brought in a kefir made, a smoothie made of kefir, and it was so delicious. And I was like really impressed. And that person added almond butter to, again, make it a little more, filling as well, like a protein source. And it was great. I loved it.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Another question I'm getting is, where is the best place to get Ramadan recipes?
Well, there are some on YouTube. So if you can look up, there's quite a few. I think that's the easiest, most accessible. There is different food bloggers who provide them on their own websites. But if you want to have access to multiple, that would be a good. And look up healthy Ramadan recipes, just FYI, and you'll be getting better options, I think, compared to, like samosas and pakora type of recipes. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, definitely emphasis on the healthy. 'Cause there are a lot out there where it's like, oh, you need to fry this in oil, but you definitely need the more healthy, lighter options.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So another question is, many people struggle with waking up for suhoor and then going back to your going back to sleep. What are your thoughts on that? Do you suggest staying up or going back to sleep?
Right. So, that is a very true. I mean, this is practical situation that we go through, especially if you have a long work day ahead, you need to get your sleep. So the key is to plan ahead, make sure you eat a proper iftar, a healthy iftar. And then if you are able to go to bed early and then wake up for suhoor in good time to have a proper suhoor. If not, have a good snack before you go to bed, a healthier snack, and then maybe have like a protein shake or something at your bedside, so that you can wake up and just have your protein shake, brush your teeth, and go back to bed after praying Fajr. Because anyways, people will be waking up for Fajr, right? So if you have like a quick healthy drink that you don't have to prep much, or like the overnight oats, like I mentioned, they're already ready in a jar. You can quickly consume it. So go easy on like the prep part. If you are limited on time, have something ready to eat.
Awesome. Thank you. Another question, and again, participants, if you guys have more questions, please send them to me in the chat. But another question we have is, what is your point of view on spicy food in Ramadan?
So spicy food can also cause bloating sometimes, as mentioned, and can cause GI distress, right? So it's a good idea to, again, avoid spicy food across the bat. This is outside of Ramadan as well. Our again, many of us are from the South Asian, Middle Eastern backgrounds. Herbs and spices are actually a good thing, like turmeric or the different herbs and cumin, all the good stuff, all the black seed and all the good stuff that we have. So those are fine. But when we're talking red chili powder, it can upset your stomach, or anything super chili and super spicy. So try to avoid it, because it is going to cause gas and bloating, believe it or not. So if you don't want that discomfort during your non-fasting or fasting hours, then limit them.
Okay, sounds good. I'll keep that in mind. Another question we have is, well, Ramadan is all like when you open your fast, you eat a date. So they're a beautiful meal on its own, but they do have high natural sugar. So do you have any recommendation on how many dates to eat based on those natural sugars and not maxing out just by the
Right. Right. I'm yes, absolutely. So it is a low glycemic index food, as in it doesn't raise your blood sugar super, super high. As I mentioned before, doing the sunnah way of 1 to 3 max would be a good rule of thumb. I know some people can be addicted to dates too, right? So, and then I love it when people get creative. They put in walnuts and almonds, raw almonds and walnuts in that date. So you're pairing it with a little protein right there. So that's another healthier way to include it, or in a smoothie as a natural sweetener. It makes for, and especially the mage stool. We live in California, and we have access to the world's most delicious dates. So getting the local farm fresh dates, and they're so soft and they blend so well in a smoothie. So definitely take advantage. One of the things we recently did was go on a date farm, and what we learned was, from a seed to the fruit itself, it could take almost 21 years to grow. So, I mean, what a blessed fruit it is, and really something that you have to practice patience with. So, really, I have a new appreciation for dates this Ramadan after knowing that, and seeing how they're grown from the ground up.
Awesome. That's amazing that you got to go visit the date farm and like see exactly where they're being
Mm-hmm.
grown.
I highly recommend it. It's definitely, especially before Ramadan, you can do your shopping for dates and also learn about it. So it was a very what you could say educational experience, apart from being fun itself. Yeah.
Very cool. And speaking of dates, just a little sneak peek to what Sister Fatima will be covering. We'll be doing a special demo about something fun that you can do with dates during suhoor. We'll do maybe one last question. Let's see. So, I'm seeing a question about like general diet management to do in Ramadan and outside of Ramadan, but what's your view of washing fruits and veggies due to pesticides and waxes that may come when you purchase them?
Right. So there is a list about, it's called the Clean 15 or something like that, and you can look it up. So those are the ones that are recommended for getting organic, just because to limit the pesticide usage. So it usually ends up being fruits and vegetables that don't have a very the outer core is not as strong. Like a banana, you don't have to buy organic banana. Like, don't waste your money on buying organic banana or avocados, because they have a hard core, so they are able to, the pesticides and stuff, don't necessarily go inside of them, and you can but berries, strawberries, and tomatoes, those are the ones that you end up buying organic. As far as washing, adding a little bit of vinegar, it's not a bad idea. That way, but always go for the whole food versus a packaged version. If you are limited on time, the next best thing after fresh is the frozen. So for the smoothies, for example, you get frozen berries very easily in the grocery store. So maybe getting those, having those on hand, because I know in Ramadan we also have limited time to prep. So that might be a good idea. And then, you want to avoid anything that is dehydrated, packaged, or canned as much as possible, just to avoid. But don't be too scared about the pests. Like, the whole food is always going to be the best thing that you want to incorporate. And yeah, do your due diligence, wash it, use a little vinegar, sure, why not? And get organic if you're able to afford it. And especially the berries and the tomatoes are the two that I always think are necessary to be organic.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Sister Zainab. This was amazing. We all learned so much about how to eat healthy in Ramadan. So we really appreciate your time.
Of course. Thank you for having me. And thank you, Amira, for being a great moderator.
Thank you. So now that we've learned a lot from Sister Zainab, I would like to transition over to our next speaker, Sister Fatima Karmali. She'll be discussing exercising in Ramadan and also doing a live demonstration of different healthy recipes, piggybacking off of what Sister Zainab was discussing.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Give me just 1 second as I pull up my presentation. Thank you, Shia Muslim Council, for letting me present to you guys on how to have a healthier Ramadan. I know for people that are consistent at training or lifting, Ramadan kind of scares us a little bit because we are good on our schedules and we're on a routine. So today we're going to discuss how we can maintain that, how we can keep up with our fitness and keep up with just moving our bodies throughout the month, inshallah. Again, my name is Fatima Kramali. I'm a health coach and personal trainer, and I am the person that likes to see someone else in pain, soreness, because I love to see other people push themselves physically, because it allows for that mental growth. And I genuinely feel that moving our body, we have a greater appreciation for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the body that He's given us and for the health that He's given us. All right. So let's get started. When can I be active during Ramadan? Of course, there are a few different times that you can move during Ramadan. And you can be active right before Sahri or Suhoor. You can work out right before iftar, or you can work out right after iftar. And for each of these topics, we're going to get into what kind of workouts you can do for those different times of the day. When you're exercising before suhoor, you want to make sure that your suhoor is packed with a lot of protein and healthy fat and electrolytes, which we just had an amazing discussion with Zainab. These kind of workouts are for people that have been training on muscular development and really heavy strength training, and not necessarily power training, but they're focusing on that hypertrophy and muscular development. So they want to maintain that muscle growth. And so this is the ideal time to work out, but it's also not the most convenient, right? Because you do have to wake up extra early to get in your workout and then have a good suhoor. And it's for a lot of us, we're not as some of us we're consistent at moving, but we're not like avid trainers or like athletes. So this may not be ideal for you, and that's totally okay. But for someone that has been working out consistently, or especially like heavy weightlifting, and you do not want to lose your growth and your gains from, previously from Ramadan, then this would probably be ideal for you. What type of workouts can you do before you break your fast? Now, I know Sister Zainab touched on about this a little bit, but you want to make sure it's nice and light. You're towards the end of the day. When I say break your workout right before you break your fast, I mean like you're gonna finish that workout and right away have water and a date. So this workout can be a light resistance training, and for everyone that is different. So if you are someone that is not is more into functional strength, which is walking, jogging, yoga. So you can always do what I mean by light is like carrying like 40 to 60% of what you would normally carry for a heavy weight training session. So let's say you are doing squats and you normally lift 45 pounds for your squats. You will not drop that down to about 15 to 20 pounds. And again, you're focusing on hypertrophy, so you're going to increase those reps, and you can go slower. Make sure your breaks are at a good duration. You can rest for about 45 seconds to a minute. I would obviously not recommend doing circuit training right before you break your fast, because you're going to be very fatigued and you're going to be very tired. This is really the focus of this is to make sure that you just get your movement and you're keeping consistent for 1 month. This is the focus of Ramadan is not, getting in your workouts and, making sure they're on top of it. It's really, staying in touch with our faith and our deen and reading the Quran and reflecting. But yes, these healthy habits is just a part of our life. And especially as we age, they matter even more. So it's really important that maintenance maintenance is definitely possible during this month, and that's what the focus should be. Is just maintaining the healthy habit, maintaining the movement, and just keep it going. All right. So resistance, strength training, keep it light. Pilates and yoga. Again, if this is something that you are used to doing, then you'll be comfortable with it. Yoga to some degree can be intense. Yoga's challenging for me because I don't do it as much, but I love it. I think it's amazing for you in regards to flexibility and stability. So I think it's really key for someone to do yoga or stretching. And if anyone is interested, I can share a link for a good YouTube source for yoga. And her yoga sessions are great and they're not too hard. Low intensity cardio. What I mean by this is that if you have a treadmill or a bike at home, or you're actually going to the gym, then yeah, you can be on the treadmill, the bike for about like 30 minutes. And if you don't want to jog, that's fine. You can just be at a slight incline. For instance, if you're on the treadmill, you can be at a slight incline, and keep your speed up to like, right below not right below a jogging field, but a little bit of a fast walk. And again, make sure you're timing it right when you're breaking your fast. So again, like I mentioned before, I want to continue my training structure and intensity. This ideal time is right before is before, everyone's capabilities are different when it comes to training, what you're comfortable with and what you're capable of and how often you do it. So it's really you have to gauge it yourself. If you feel like this is not for you, then that's totally fine. Even for me, for someone that trains, 4 or 5 times a week, I've been working out for the past few years. I most likely will be working out, after I break my fast because that just works better for me. And I have small kids, so I'm ideally not going to get up at 4 a.m. to work out, unless I sleep when my kids sleep. Sorry. All right. This is the best. I really wanted to discuss this because Ramadan is, especially if you're working and you've got a family or you're studying, you get tired and you've just gone through the fast. So it's like, how do I even move my body during this month? How do I get active? And again, like I said, the focus is, we're going to be reading more Quran, we're going to be going to Taraweeh, we're going to be going to the masjid, we're going to be doing our du'as, listening to lectures, really honing into our spiritual compass and getting that right and making sure we're spiritually healthy. But for me, honestly, one of the best ways is to walk. And I think if if you're at home with your family, grab them as your accountability buddy. And you can definitely walk after iftar. This is something you can even do before iftar if you want to. If you're going to walk alone, or even if you're not walking alone, you're walking with your sibling or your spouse, you can listen to Quran, you can listen to your du'as. I am a mother, so I don't even, listening to lectures now has kind of been difficult because I'm watching my kids. So this would be the ideal time for me to listen to a lecture and, remind myself of what I should be really working on. And let's say you can't get outside to walk, that's okay. Inshallah, you have a big enough space where you can walk in your house, and there will be even times where in my house I'll be just making circles around and my kids will just follow me. So be creative with it. Movement is movement, right? You want to increase that NEAT, which is that non energy exercise thermodynamic. So it's just about keeping up that movement and keeping up that consistency. What are other ways that you can keep your body active during this month? Again, I already mentioned stretching. When people say, "Oh, I stretched or I worked out," I always like to ask, "How long did you work out?" And the response that I normally get is 10 minutes. I understand accountability is accountability. You did move your body, and that is what I asked you to do. But you do have to understand that if you want to actually see growth or muscle growth or even fat loss, you do need to be exercising for at least 15 to 20 minutes. Or if you want to see your flexibility get better, your stability get better, ideally, yeah, I'm not going to ask you to work out for like an hour during the month of Ramadan. That can be pretty intense. But you definitely can aim for 15 to 20 minutes of movement. And it's a good reminder that, your body is capable of doing more. What I think we tend to do, especially with exercise, is we want to hit the bare minimum and then we and tell ourselves like, okay, we did it. but we're frustrated with not seeing the progress or not getting the results. Well, you have to be honest with yourself on how much time you are dedicating towards it. Um, Another point that I didn't mention is that if you're aiming for, obviously during the month of Ramadan, as Sister Zainab mentioned, our stomach shrinks. So we actually tend to sometimes eat less. And this is what she was mentioning, to not overindulge, because your stomach doesn't need it. Your stomach is shrinking. And it's a good reminder of how much your body actually needs in regards to food, right? We always tend to eat more than we need. Um, so if you're like trying to capitalize on the month for like fat loss, then obviously exercising right before you break your iftar would be capitalizing on fat loss. All right, so I wanted to show you guys what a sample of a Ramadan workout week would look like. Again, you're wanting to aim for 3-4 days. And if you look at these days, nothing is too intense. One of it is a walk, one of it is a light cardio. And even if you don't want to do that light cardio, you're like, Fatima, I don't want to do light cardio, that's fine. But if you're going to walk, you want to aim for at least 45 minutes. So Monday, you do a lower body strength training. This would be broken up into your standard, 3 to 4 sets, 10 to 15 reps, and you could do about 5 moves. Your standard moves would be squat, lunges, right? Hip thrusts, things that will focus on like your pelvic floor, things that will focus on your core, and that would literally be it. You wouldn't need to do more than that. And of course deadlifts. Deadlifts are my favorite. Wednesday for upper body strength training, I would target, you could do a lot of body weight too, push-ups. I know they're not fun, but they're really good for you in regards to total body strength. So push-ups, chest press, shoulder press, very simple moves. It does not need to be complicated. The good old stuff is good. We don't need to be like, I personally, I guess I do love kettlebell swings. I love my power moves. But I think especially the fitness world has changed, and there's a lot of like clickbait and clicking on this so I can lose this amount of weight or so I can be this toned. And you have to understand that just go back to the basics. Just focus on strengthening those muscles, because when you build muscle fibers, you can also burn fat when you're resting, right? And that is the ideal world. Ideal situation is where you want to be built enough muscle mass, which does take time, increase your metabolism. So you need a combination of like just your standard good workouts, simple workouts, and simple body movements to do that. It does not need to be complicated at all. And if you're superb and you really want to push yourself, you're going to opt for a Friday total body workout, and definitely treat yourself to a good suhoor, because you will need it. But that would consist of, jumping jacks and doing like burpees. And there are ways to modify the burpees and to make it manageable. But different moves would be like a squat to push press, or a lunge to a bicep curl. And again, you just want to aim for 4 to 5 moves. And if you're doing 4 moves, then you want to increase the reps to like 15 to 20. And if you're doing 5 moves, then you're going to do like 3 to 4 sets. And your range can be 10 to 15 reps. And that's about it for my presentation. I think the most important thing is to realize that, it's just about moving and about making sure you're consistent. And consistency comes when I tend to realize consistency comes when it's easy. And that's totally okay, especially during the month of Ramadan, right? We're focusing on the month of our spirituality and the month of spiritual growth. So that's why maintenance is the key. And find yourself an accountability buddy. I would recommend putting it on your calendar, actually put it on your Google Calendar and say, okay, this is the workout, put it in that time. If just like you can meal plan, you can look up so many YouTube videos or so many Instagram pages where they have workouts, and you could just save like ones that you like for Ramadan. And just keep at that and just keep the routine going.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sister Fatima. So we'll be transitioning over to the live cooking demo. So we'll let Sister Fatima set up for that. If you have any questions, we'll be doing the Q&A right after the demo, so please post those in the chat, send them straight to me, and we'll be able to cover them in a couple minutes. So I do want to let you know what Sister Fatima will be making today as she sets up for the demo. We have 3 yummy dishes lined up, including different ideas to use during Ramadan, whether it's during suhoor or iftar. So she has pakora waffles, a date shake, and avocado egg toast. So she's just setting up right now. We'll give her a quick minute to orient the camera so that we can all see her better. So I hope you're all excited to see how to make these 3 yummy dishes.
All right, everyone. Sorry for the minute. I am now in the kitchen and we are gonna get started. I am really excited to show you guys how to make this. So I am going to angle my oops, 1 second. Apologize, I just want to take off the blur. All right, there we go. Now we're in the kitchen. So I'm gonna have it angled downwards so you guys can see what I'm cooking. The first recipe that we're gonna be doing is the pakora waffles, okay? Now, a handout has been emailed out to you guys, so you do have these recipes on hand and a list of other recipes that I enjoy during Ramadan. They're from my favorite, registered dietitians, nutritionists, also other like bloggers that have really good recipes, and they have a lot of good information out there. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is making pakora waffles. Pakora is made out of chickpea or besan. Now, chickpea has a lot of fiber in it, a lot of fiber and protein. So we're just talking about this with Sister Zainab. Pakoras and samosas are like a staple. I don't know about you, but we all love them. And they can get dangerous because we tend to, deep fry, and that's where it can get a little scary, right? So this is just a fun and creative way to have it differently. If you're not down to have a waffle, I totally understand that. But you can also just pan fry it as well with like not as much oil. But when you have it with a waffle, it's just, again, you can also have it for sahur too. So we're gonna take 2 cups of chickpea flour. And today, instead of actually, oops, one more second there. I got creative with my vegetables, and instead of doing spinach, which is the standard, of course, for a pakora, we are going to do kale. And the reason why I like kale is because it is a cruciferous vegetable. Cruciferous vegetables you should be having on the daily. It's one of the best things for longevity, for your immune system. An example of a cruciferous vegetable again is kale, cabbage. So we got our kale here. Kale, cabbage, bok choy. What else do we have? Turnips and broccoli, cauliflower, of course. So these are all good vegetables that you should have. I am a huge salad fan. I love salads. I wish I could have a salad bar in my house. That's how much I love salad. But I don't. So this is like, kale is actually my favorite bases to make a salad with because they stay nice and crispy. And it doesn't get soggy, especially when you're making a salad for the family or when you're hosting an iftar. I love it. It's one of my favorite salad bases. So we put our basin in, we put our chickpea flour in, and now what we're going to do is give me a second, I'm gonna get another mixing bowl. So what you can do, you can add your vegetables here, okay? And we are going to, now remember, you're not frying this. So I did not add potatoes because potatoes release water, and I know that the onion will also release water. So what I like to do is, I like to squeeze the vegetables to kind of release whatever water is there, and then we are going to add the besan. Let's squeeze it a little bit more. We're gonna add our besan, and in this moment, I'm gonna add some spices. Very, very simple, right? We're gonna add some salt, some chili powder, and haldi or turmeric. And some salt. You could use pink Himalayan salt. Kosher salt is an option as well. So we're gonna be not crazy with the chili powder, of course. I'm just putting probably 1/4 teaspoon, not even, just a little bit. All right, gonna add our haldi. I have a big waffle maker, so we're not gonna we're gonna get bigger waffles, but again, you could have different options. We're adding just 1 teaspoon of salt. Okay. Now I like to cook with my hands, so I'm gonna get in here. I'm gonna get dirty. We're just gonna mix that all together, and then I'm going to add the water accordingly. Again, we're not frying it, right? So we need to make sure it's like runny enough, almost like a waffle consistency. We're gonna mix it in there. Also, I also make samosas. I don't make the own. Um, I don't make the chapri or the roll, the wrap. But I make samosas, and once I calorie counted the samosas because I was very curious. Obviously, like every time in Ramadan, samosas are the worst. But you know what? The samosa is only 33 calories, so it wasn't that bad. And I use ground beef, and no fat. So it was just the ground beef, the onion, and the cilantro, and obviously the spices. So it's really the frying that gets us. So I'm gonna pour our water in here. Mix it all together. Now, what tends to happen because we're not frying, so it's not having that extra. So it's a little bit runny. You want to make sure it has that good consistency. When you're pouring this in, just do work and try to fill up the waffle spot. I am going to get a little bit of just spray oil. I'm just gonna make sure that you guys sorry. See the waffle maker here, okay? All right. So a waffle maker is ready to go. We're gonna spray it a little bit. I'm gonna take a measuring cup, again, mix it together. Last time I made this, I topped it with an egg and avocado, and it was really, really good. All right, so we're gonna put that waffle core in there. Again, chickpeas are a really good source of fiber, more so for fiber than protein. And we've got green, bell pepper, we've got onion in here. So do be prepared for a little bit release of water. And if you feel like it's a little soggy, then what you can do, if you do feel like it's a little soggy, what you can do is just kind of put it in the toaster. And I love to add a little bit of like imli or tamarind and some chutney on top. And it's just a fun way to have it. It's creative and my kids love it. So we're gonna wait for that to finish up. And in the meantime, we are gonna grab my blender and we're gonna make a good smoothie to start our fast with. Okay. So I've got some dates here. I actually did soak them. So I like them a little bit softer, so it's easier to blend in the smoothie. And if you have your handout with you, you can pull up the recipe. We're going to be doing a protein date smoothie. Again, as you know, for someone that lifts, I love my protein because it keeps you satiated and also, allows you to, focus on that fat loss and doesn't allow you to like overeat because you're getting in that protein. So first I'm gonna add my milk. I have almond milk. I prefer to use non-dairy milks. Over here I put that you can put about a um, half cup of almond milk. Now my yogurt is a little bit runny. I am using Greek yogurt, but it is a little bit more runny. So I'm gonna start off with 1/4 cup of almond milk just to see how I like it. Everyone likes their smoothies different. Some people like it, some people like their smoothies with, a little bit more watery. Some people don't like it as watery. Now again, my dates are nice and ready to go. So I'm gonna just break that up and put it in there. Let's add that date. And so these are 3 dates. And if you do make your smoothie, you can always share it with whoever you're having suhoor with. So you can split this with the other recipe I'm going to show you guys, which I think you're going to love. Now we're going to add our Greek yogurt. So Zainab did mention, yes, aim for Greek yogurts that are lower in sugar. So this is the Chobani zero sugar one. I think it still has about like 2 grams of sugar. The other Chobani one, to be honest, I'm not a fan of. It has like 16 grams of sugar, so it's really not that great in that sense. But I know Costco has their huge vanilla one, or just a plain Greek yogurt. So we're gonna add this in there. I'm thinking it's gonna be a little thick, so we're gonna add some more almond milk. All right, our waffles are almost done. I'm gonna give it a little bit more time. This will not take too long at all. And of course, cinnamon, we're gonna add cinnamon. It's a super spice. We're gonna add about 1 teaspoon. Okay, good. And we're gonna add another superfood. We're gonna add chia seeds. I know we just talked about the chia seeds are a super vegetable or a superfood. They manage your blood sugar spikes, they lower your LDL cholesterol, and also help with digestion. So we're gonna do about 1 tablespoon. Remember, this is for suhoor, so it's gonna be, it's packed with the protein, the fats, the carbs, because you want to be satiated. You want to be nice and full. All right, and I have a handy dandy blend jet, so I'm gonna use this as my blender, and there you go. That's gonna make our smoothie. Just like that. All right. Now the true test is to see how it tastes. How filling that is. I never like it when my smoothie doesn't come up to the top of my glass, but you can tell it's really packed with a lot of good nutrients in here. That's a good smoothie. Oh my God. That's really good. Um, I love the cinnamon. It balances out the date really well. And as you can see, I didn't add any other sugar. It was just the date. Because It has perfect amount of sugar. So you can try that. Another alternative is putting peanut butter. I can see why peanut butter goes so well with that. And if you don't want to add the Greek yogurt, if you want to make it completely dairy free, you can use cashew yogurt or cashew milk. That's also an option too. All right. All right. So I think our our pakora waffle is ready to go. So let me grab a plate so we can take it out and see how it looks. All right, bismillah. Let's see how this looks. Oops, they got stuck. All righty. It's that waffle. So got a nice crispy waffle. I know it's so different. You never would think we'd have a pakora like this. It's nice and tasty inside. It's still nice and moist. And again, you just top this with you can top it with avocado. You can put an egg on it. You can put your chutneys, and it would be perfect. So last time I mentioned that I did make it with potato, and it was a little bit more runny. But this time it's not. So let's give it a test. Mm, it's pretty good with the kale too. You can't really tell the difference between kale and spinach. So if you want to get in that vegetable, oh, it's the perfect amount of spice as well. So this is good. I'm gonna have this for lunch after you guys. All right. The last recipe is fun. We are going to make avocado eggs toast. I love avocado and I love eggs. So this is so good, and I'm probably gonna and have it a lot more often. For this one, we're gonna use boiled eggs. Sorry, my eggs are already broken. My kids decided they did not want to eat the boiled eggs, so they didn't touch it. So I'm gonna just use these eggs. And we're gonna have fun with this, okay? We're gonna take our avocado, it's nice and soft, it's ready to go. You're gonna dump your egg on the cutting board, and we are going to add. I've been seeing this trend on Instagram, so we're gonna try it out, and you guys are gonna watch and see if you want to try it out too. But basically, you just take your cutting board and you're gonna chop up all your vegetable, whatever you're gonna make. You just chop it up here and mix it together. So let's see how that goes. So this is about 3 boiled eggs. Boiled eggs have a lot of a good source of protein, right? About 6 grams of protein. Um, I love, love, love. We eat a lot of eggs. Alhamdulillah. We eat a lot of eggs. We go through the Costco eggs in like a week and a half. You can never go wrong with having enough eggs. And I think you can what these recipes help with is showing that you can make it for your family too. Something you can like this one, you can have it on toast, or let's say like you want to wake up and you can even have it with like roti if you want, or the lavash bread, or you can have it with like some simple crackers, or like a more fiber-based cracker like the multigrain ones. Chopping it up there. I know my son would love to do this right now. All right. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add the avocado straight in here. Okay. I'm gonna avocado. Oops, sorry about that. Inshallah, this avocado looks good inside, but even if it doesn't. Oh, okay, not too bad. Not too bad. All right, I'm gonna get my spoon to scoop it out. Okay, we're gonna add our avocado in here. My daughter loves avocado. She could probably eat like 2 a day. Of course, I know you guys know the health benefits of avocado. They're loaded with some good healthy fats, vitamin E. Right, and we're literally just gonna keep it all here and then just mash it in. A little bit of different way of cooking, but we're gonna try it out. I figured let me try it with you guys and see how I like it. And just mix it in there. If this is triggering for anyone that doesn't like a mess, then I truly am sorry. Alrighty. I'm gonna keep mixing that in there. I'm gonna actually get a spoon now because it's getting a little difficult. And I'm going to speed up this process. I have, of course, the delicious and the perfect thing to pair with avocado. We've got some purple onion and cilantro. So we're going to sprinkle that in there. And of course, lemon juice. I would add chili flakes and some little bit of salt and pepper. And my favorite type of bread is sourdough and it's fermented, so that's good for your gut. Um, I'm gonna really start to mix this in now. Mhm. Yeah, and there we go. We're just making some mashed egg and just store it in the fridge. You probably could keep it up. I don't even think it'll last, you know, like 3 days because it's gonna be so good. Everyone's gonna eat it. And it's so quick and easy. You don't like it's you just put it on toast. And of course pair it with your smoothie. That smoothie was just too good. Definitely try it with peanut butter. I feel like it's gonna add another kick to it. We're just mashing this up. And if you really want to go crazy, you can even put this on top of your pakora waffles. You want to have a full packed meal. That would be perfect for suhoor. Let's add a little bit of salt. All right, guys. For the last and final recipe, let's give this a taste test. I think I will finish this before my kids get home. Oh my God. That's good. That's nice and fresh. Oh, you guys are gonna love this. You gotta try it. It's really, really good. So easy. Even if you don't want to have it with the smoothie, you want to have it with your coconut water. I am a very like sweet and savory person with every meal. So I love to have my sweet thing, which is like in this case it would be the date shake. And then some of the toast, this avocado egg toast and some sourdough or lavash bread. I hope you guys enjoyed the cooking demo, and I hope you guys will like to try out these recipes. I would love to see how you guys like them. I am excited to eat all of this and share with my kids because I think they're going to love it too.
Thank you so much, Sister Fatima. Everything looks delicious. I cannot myself wait to try all of these different ideas. I love how creative they are, how easy they are. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing.
Sure.
So now we'll be transitioning over into our Q&A portion for Sister Fatima. If you have any questions, please send them over to me and then we can present them and you can get your questions answered. So to start off, there are a couple questions that I'm already seeing, specifically more about exercising in Ramadan. So are there any specific stretches or warm-ups that you recommend during Ramadan?
Yes.
Maybe instead of doing like a full-on workout, at least moving your body in some kind of way. So what would you
Yeah,
recommend for that?
absolutely. So if you're going to do a stretching, you want to stretch it for at least good 15 minutes. And this could be a total body stretch. So for me, I love to start with child's pose. Um, that's where you're going to push your hips back and you're going to do a nice deep stretch for your scapula and your arms and your hips. And then next I would do runner's lunge stretch. So you want to, whenever you're doing a stretching exercise, it's normally going to be one leg at a time or one arm at a time. So hold it for about 30 seconds to a minute. You want to really allow for that nice deep stretch, allow for those tendons and those ligaments to loosen up. My favorite stretch, one of my favorites, I love all the stretches, but yogi squat is normally called like the Eastern toilet squat, is where you sit down all the way. You want to keep the balls of your feet and your heels on the ground, and you're going to push your hips all the way down, and your hips are going to be right above the ground. And if you need to hold on to something, you want to hold on to something nice and sturdy, so you won't pull that and fall back. So first, always make sure you're safe. And this squat, go according to what you feel is comfortable, because some people don't have that amount of mobility or range of mobility at that time. But you can definitely build up to it. And that's the amazing thing with exercise. And I think with has made me so appreciative of, you know, being so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is because He's given you this body, and it's, the one vehicle that you have to use throughout your entire life. And He's allowed you to show, like, you can make this however you want. You are in control of that. It's in your hands, and it's, mashallah, magnificent. It's amazing what it can do. So if you push it a little bit. So the yogi squat, downward dog is really good. Um, a good hamstring stretch is just a forward stretch. We're going to be on the floor. You're going to extend your legs, tuck in one leg, and then again, extend all the way out to touch, trying to grab your ankles. And this will stretch out your lower back, your hamstrings. Um, I think that would be like the main stretches. Again, you just want to make sure you're holding the stretches for 15 to 20 minutes. There's a lot more complicated stretches that you don't necessarily like, you do what you're comfortable with. But the thing is consistency. I know I think when people come to like a workout session or a workout informative session, it's like, okay, we're gonna hear the workout that's gonna make me like skinny and no, I wish I could tell you that. Or healthy forever, stronger forever. And the biggest thing I have to tell you is just consistency, and consistency. You just gotta stay consistent. So hopefully that was helpful for whoever asked that question.
Absolutely. Thank you. And for all the different types of stretches, we can even send out links to videos on what those look like so you can know what child's pose look like,
Absolutely.
the squat. So perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Another question we have are, what are some common mistakes that people make when exercising during Ramadan? And how would you avoid those?
I feel like the common mistakes are thinking that you can't do as much when you probably can do a little bit more than you can. I definitely wouldn't recommend doing an only cardio based workout. Of course, working when you're exercising, um, Ramadan or not Ramadan, you need to be having a little bit of everything. So having that circuit training, I love because it balances cardio and strength training, and it's super time efficient. So I really recommend it. But I think another mistake would be, yeah, so only focusing on cardio, not working out at all because you think you can't. You definitely can. And remember, it's just about maintenance. You just, aim for like 3 days a week, even if you're like someone that's like, Fatma, I can't, I don't have, I'm tired, and I totally get that. It is Ramadan, the fasts are long. And if you're taking care of a family, if you're working, you're studying, it definitely gets challenging. But what we don't realize is that, like, when you do exercise, you do get that energy. Um, I would say that that's probably the only like few mistakes you could make, and just to avoid that is just to be consistent, and balance your workouts with, you know, hitting everything that your body needs. You need a little bit of flexibility, you need a little bit of strength training, you need a little bit of cardio.
Perfect. And then we do have one more question. So if the only time you can work out is during your fast, like I know you mentioned you could work out before suhoor or right after it, right before iftar, but like if you can't work out during those times, how would you maintain your energy levels and not feel
Yeah.
depleted if you have to work out like in the middle of the day?
Of the day. Yeah. So in that regards, I would probably keep it at a low like intensity cardio. That's when I would go for that 45-minute walk. Or if you're gonna do strength training, make sure your rests are nice and long. Keep those rests nice and long. Don't go too intense, but don't go as heavy with the weight. Keep it at like 40 to 50% of what your max is. And take your time to do the workout. I wouldn't aim for more than like 30 minutes. And again, like if you're working out at the gym, if you know now again, if you're someone that's diabetic or has another medical situation, then absolutely talk to your doctor, and get their supervision and provision to do these exercises during a fast if you're interested in that. But if you're at home, try to pair it with you where you're gonna maybe be able to like sit after that and not be so active. But subhanAllah, it's quite amazing to see what we can do when we fast. And you see that because we have so many of our organizations that are so active and so giving during these months, and we're just constantly on our feet. And you don't realize that, your body is so self sufficient. So don't discount it. It's definitely capable of more. I know we love this month because we get to see our community so much more. We get to be with our family so much more, eat all the foods that we love eating as we grew up. But it is, it's definitely something to still take care of. 1 month is 1 month. That is 30 days, and it still does definitely matter.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sister
Thank
Fatima. I hope
you.
everyone got something out of this with the learning how to exercise during Ramadan between and the yummy food demo that you did.
Yes,
So we appreciate you sharing all your
of course.
knowledge.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Amir. You're an amazing moderator.
Thank you. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We hope this was really beneficial in helping you learn how to be healthy in Ramadan. Thank you to Sister Zainab and Sister Fatima for sharing your insights. And before we end off, I do want to add something very quickly. As we're engaging in this beautiful month of Ramadan, let's not forget those who are less fortunate than us. So the Shia Muslim Council has launched a program called Ramadan Blessings. The flyer is right on the screen over here. So this program allows you to donate to help provide iftars to people who cannot afford a nourishing meal. And you can also help support a family that's struggling to pay the bill. So if you're interested in donating and partaking in this wonderful program, please go to www.shiamuslimcouncil.org/donate. It's right here on the screen, and the details for the program are also on the flyer. So if you're interested, please go to that website. It's an amazing way to give back to the community in this blessed month and help those in need. So if you'd like to keep in touch with SMC, please scan these QR codes with our contact information. We have our website, our YouTube page, Facebook, and Instagram. So if you're interested in staying connected, coming to more of these programs, please scan the QR code and stay connected with us. And then Jazakallah khairan for joining us today, and we hope you all have a wonderful Ramadan. So Ramadan Kareem.